Hello.
Hello. This is a very special time for Sheila and me as we reach the end of our 19th year and getting ready to go into retirement. But what we'd like to do is take you on a little tour of the campus and talk about some of the very special things that we've seen and happen on this campus and around this campus. Now, I'm only going to talk about two things in this particular building. One of them is my office that we just came out of. The most unusual thing that happened there was a few years ago we had a derecho, and the power lines were down on three sides of the campus, and we had a meeting in my office to talk about what we were going to do with the students who were here. And we ran a power line from the campus safety office right across the hall, through a window, through a generator, and a little lamp that sat on my table, and our team gathered around and we talked about some important issues. The other room that I'll talk about is on the third floor, the ballroom, and that's because there's so many great things that have happened for us in that room. Faculty meetings have been held there for sure. A lot of really nice alumni events, and some dances have been held there as well.
Well, I guess I remember one of the dances, the multicultural galas. I always enjoyed them. And of course the food festivals, the international food festivals. I love those up there. So many nice things have happened there, and especially since the ballroom has been renovated, it's made it especially nice.
And with that, we'll now walk outside and go out to Schellenberger Field and talk about some things we see out there. Behind us right now is the Victory Bell Tower. It's a very favorite place for us to be. It's where the seniors come for some final pictures and ceremonies like that. But this is also where the athletes run over after a tremendous championship on Schellenberger Field to ring the victory bell. Whether they won that championship at another school, the buses come back here and let off the students, and they go back there and ring that bell, and it is a great, exciting time.
And I can remember several times that we have gotten up in the middle of the night to come over here to meet the buses and witness the ringing of the bells. A very special place for us.
Also behind us is the Drysdale Student Center. It's one of the bookends of our campus. It's a place where we've had so many wonderful functions that have gone there, many of them for the community, and Sheila was a whole lot of parts of those.
Some of the community ones that I remember most probably is the Miriam's House luncheons, the MAM luncheons, also the League of Women Voters had their dinners there. So it was not only a student place, but also a community place.
This student center was a much needed facility. It became the living room and dining room and the exercise room for the campus and for the community. This is another one of our favorite spots. As you look behind us, you see the Schellenberger Field and the track. And when we came here, it was a 6-lane track, and that was converted to an 8-lane track. It was also a grassy, muddy field with a light on it, in which the students could not go out on it because it was just to be used for the varsity events. Some changes were made. The Schellenberger Field was built, and we have had some fantastic athletic events on this field. To mention a few, the lacrosse team has been out there, and of course one of the great times we had with the lacrosse team was up in Philadelphia when they were playing for the national championship. The whole stands were covered with just red shirts representing Lynchburg. And then probably one of the most exciting times for me on this field was the Saturday that the men's and women's soccer team and the field hockey team all won ODAC conference championships. And I had the great joy as the president to go down and accept 3 trophies in a single day. So that was really a thrilling moment. And of course we have a great tradition with the track program. And of course behind that is the Turner Gymnasium. And I just want to say a couple of words about it. We've had some fantastic times in that Turner Gymnasium, with one of the things being the basketball teams. Our favorite spot with the men's team was to sit behind the bench with the coaches' parents and come along with the cheers. But there you had the music of the stand band, and you had the cheerleaders going. And then one of the greatest games was when our team set a national Division III record of points scored in the game. It went to, I think, maybe 2 or 3 overtimes, and I didn't think it would ever end. Another exciting time occurred in the spring term of the year that the women soccer team won the national championship. It was at the halftime that I had the honor of going out on the field and giving the rings to all of the players on the women's soccer team. And the seniors walked up at the very end of that ceremony and handed me my national championship ring. And that's a moment I'll never forget. Also behind me is the Hornet mascot statue that was paid for and built by Representative Ike Belk of North Carolina. He had no affiliation with Lynchburg College at that time, but he was so impressed by what we were doing and what the athletic program, particularly the track program, was doing, that he funded $100,000 to pay for that statue with money for the athletic field as well.
And I was down there with him to see the unveiling of the big Hornet, and it was very, very exciting time.
Yeah, in fact, that Hornet was sculptured by a man who did all the sculpting for the U.S. Olympic Committee, John Hare. And he's worldwide known, famous, and he signed a contract with me that he would not make a Hornet statue of that size or larger east of the Mississippi River. So that's on a contract that I have to go with. Directly behind the Hornet mascot statue, see the Wake Field House. That's a building that I'm looking forward to seeing the alums stepping up and constructing a new building, and do the same thing for the expansion of Turner Gymnasium, and to probably connect those two into one gigantic building. That is something that's badly needed, and we hope that we'll get a lot of support for that in the future. Now also on the other side that you can't quite see here are some townhomes and Peaksview Hall that was, at the time that we came, it was just a field back there, a steep hill, and we know that the lifeblood of the institution are our students who become our alums. And so this was needed for the increased in student enrollment that we had, and it has worked very well. Also behind me is our newest addition, now called our Westover Hall. And this houses more than 200 students. It has the Westover Honors Program in it, and it has great facilities for teaching, and also wonderful places for our students to observe the athletic events that are going on below them. Okay, one of the proudest things to me on this campus is this particular plaque right in the center of the sidewalk that goes between the chapel and Hopwood Hall. And it is a commemoration because at this spot, the first Virginia chapter of the National Conference of Christians and Jews was founded on the campus of Lynchburg College, November 25 of 1935. So a couple of years ago, or back in 2017, we had the 50th celebration of this founding. That's one of our very proudest things, right in the center. And now I'd like to mention over behind Drysdale Center, across the street, is the Graduate Health Science Center. In 2007, at a board retreat at Smith Mountain Lake, the Board of Trustees decided to go into more graduate programs in the health sciences. That led to the foundation of the programs that are in the building, the Graduate Health Sciences building. First one was the Doctor of Physical Therapy, then came the PA Medicine, and then came the Doctor of Medical Science. Those programs have done a tremendous amount of bringing in students, undergraduate and graduate, and financially are very strong programs that continue as some of the very best in the country. Also, about 25 miles to the west is the Claytor Nature Center. It's about almost 500 acres of environmentally protected area where at this point we have built an academic building, we built an eco lodge out there, and then we had the construction of an observatory, and again supported by Senator Ike Belk of North Carolina, who helped us construct that observatory with a very nice gift, and again a very nice statue. But it's a wonderful place for people in environmental studies and those kinds of programs. But we've also been all over the world with the programs from this institution. We were more than a decade in St. Lucia providing academic programs, educational programs on that island. And we started with people who were teaching schools, and after having only 2 years of a college, and they got into having bachelor's degrees, brought some here to campus to get master's degrees, and some to get doctoral degrees. And it was very exciting for Sheila and me to be sitting in the home of the Prime Minister of St. Lucia at some point to talk about the programs that we had carried on in St. Lucia. Of course, we've also taken trips in connecting with alums and other institutions. when in Austria, in Korea, in Japan, and so on. And we've had some very exciting events there.
I think one of the best things that I remember is the alumni trips. They have gone all over the United States, all over the world. Another thing that is very meaningful to me on the Dell here is the Relay for Life every year. And for over 10 years, Ken has led the Survivor's Lap for the Relay of Life since he is a survivor of cancer. It's very meaningful that the University of Lynchburg has Relay for Life here on the campus.
We are now in, I guess, what has to be considered our favorite place to be on campus. It's referred to as the Dell, but the Dell is really the kind of carved out area right in front of the Hall Campus Center. But it's on the center of this campus. This is where every student, every faculty member, every staff member gets involved at one point. Now, directly behind me is the chapel, and that's a great place to start because this is the place that we have when we have in our conferences, our convocations and our commencements. This is basically when the students are marching. They march basically from the chapel down to Hopwood Hall. So for the beginning and the end of our students and their experience here, it happens right on this sidewalk. Also, the chapel has been a favorite for some really great events that have gone on there.
Of course, I love the choir events that are there. And I guess my favorite one is at the holiday, the Messiah, when they do that. That is really a favorite. We try to get to every one, and I remember one time our plane was coming in and it was an hour and a half late. We came directly here only to get here just as the concert was over. It was very disappointing, but it was on tape, so we got to see it anyway.
So the Christmas, the choir and everything that we'll be singing in that chapel is always beautiful, and getting another organ in there while we were here was a great addition too as well. Now as you come around to the right-hand side, you see what started out as Centennial changed to Shule. And the favorite place for me in there is in the Sidner Performance Hall, because there are some of the most enjoyable events that can occur on campus. And I have to say that my favorite one happens to be Night at the Movies. And they would end with ice cream and popcorn, so we always had a great ending for these events, and everyone loved them. Standing ovations just like every time we had it. Going on around to the right, you come to the Science Building, Hobbs Building. Now that's another one that needs some more work, and in fact it needs an expansion. And we've got the drawings all made to add another gigantic wing to Hobbs Hall. We have some very bright students that come here for the science programs, and so again we're looking for alumni support to help us move that one on.
And we were very excited when it was renamed the Hobbs Siegler Hall.
Amen, Hobbs Siegler Hall. For Julius Siegler, a great person, a great dean and physics professor. Moving on around, we have the Dillard Theater and the Dora Gallery. Again, just a phenomenal number of events have taken place in those 19 years. And I'll go down and start at the Dillard Theater. And you know, there were the dances and the theater performances. And I think probably my all-time favorite was Into the Woods. And we saw several variations of it during our time here. And I remember at one of those, I went around and took pictures of every one of the actors and actresses in it and used it on a PowerPoint presentation for prospective students.
Of all the theater performances, the musicals are by far my favorite, and I really like The Sound of Music. That was one of my, and In the Woods too.
Yeah, they were all nice. They were all nice.
All the musicals
Yep.
are wonderful.
Yep. Now as you move on around, you come at the other end of the sidewalk, and that is Hopwood Hall. And that's a very famous building. It's the oldest one on campus, and it's named for our first president, Josephus Hopwood, who fought in the Illinois Cavalry in the Civil War. He established his 3 academic communities during his lifetime, and ours was one of those. There's a great story behind him and him coming to Lynchburg to establish what was then Virginia Christian College, later changed to Lynchburg College, and later evolved into the University of Lynchburg.
We leave with many fond memories, new friends, and a brand new Siamese kitten. Her name is Lucy Lou.
Okay. God bless University of Lynchburg, Lynchburg College. Thank you. Our final goodbye.